Alright guys, welcome back to this video, and in this video we're going to talk about HTML forms. As you guys can see, I've already gone on to create our HTML form, and we will be using this form to create new books, and we are going to be using a database, which is basically going to be an in-memory DB. So this slice of book is going to be where we will store new books being created by the user. And I also modified the load books math function, and now instead of hard coding new book values, we are just marshalling what's existing in the package level scope here. And also I created a new function, which is the create function. This basically loads our form.html, and of course I know I could have used the static file to save this, but I prefer to go this route for now because I want to have a custom URL that doesn't have static on it. Okay, so I also registered that as a handler part right here, as you can see. So the next thing would be to create another handler that would take care of the form creation itself. So this is going to be handle func. So we're gonna call this okay, so just say create. Okay, so I think I should probably change this to, or let's just leave it like this for now. Okay, we're gonna call that function, say post book. Okay, so post means we are looking for a post request, so that's just a convention, it's not really necessary. All right, so let's go ahead and create a function, and it's gonna be wr, which is the response writer and the requests, and you can go ahead and implement the details of this function. So the first thing we're going to do is to make sure that it's a post request. So we have the request object comes with the method. So if it's not equals to r dot, we'll have a post method, I think post or something. Yeah, we're supposed to have method post. I'm not so sure. Dot my IDE suggestion is well for now. I actually depend on my IDE suggest some of these package functions to me, because I'm not a huge fan of going to read the documentation all the time, especially unless it is really necessary. But for now it isn't super necessary, so I just bank on this. And as you can see, what I'm looking for is not here. So okay, so I can go ahead and use normal this. So I hope this actually works. r.method is a string, you can say posts. Okay, so if it's not a post request, you can go ahead and actually we'll just execute the template without, actually we would want to send back an empty message, which we could say http dot error. I think we can borrow from what we already have here. Okay, so from here, paste that in, set of error to error, go ahead and say must be post requests. Okay, so after that we go ahead and return this. Okay, so the next thing would be, actually I think I just figured this method posts. Let me quickly add that before continuing. Okay, so the next thing would be to pass the request object, so which is this, for the data that came in from the form. And to do that, we're gonna be using making use of the r.form value. Okay, so we want to create a new form. So now we can do things like data validation and all that stuff right here to make sure that the right information has been sent. If we have authentication, this could also be a nice place to check those things, and just to make sure that everything is working well. Okay, so once that is done, we can go ahead and create our book, which is going to be a book like this, and it has a name, right? Name, and then r.form value, and the name of the form field, as you can see here, is name. So we're going to do the same thing for the author, which is r.form value. I'm gonna have also author, and of course we can now, since we are not expecting to receive the published art from the user interface, we can go ahead and just generate any random. So use what we used before. Am I missing something? Yeah, dot string. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so and after that we can go ahead and append this to our books. So use the append function, then call books and book. Okay, so that is done, and once that is done, of course, we can decide to send back JSON and say everything worked well, or we can just simply go ahead and write. Let me write. I'll call this. Or let's just do the fmt dot fprint. Fprint, call this w, and then go ahead and say new book added. So let's just do this. So I'm gonna call this book dot name. Yeah, so I'm going to change this to fprintf. That's it. So this should work. Oh, actually I should go ahead and restart this server. Okay, come here, fresh, everything looks well. So you can see the Lord of the Rings trilogy, J.R.R. Tolkien, and hopefully this would work. Tolkien, yes, looks well. Submit that, and we say get 404 page not found. And okay, that is because we forgot to actually put the action correctly. Okay, so submitting to the wrong URL, it should be create. So I'm just going to update that and go ahead and refresh this page. Go back. Okay, so go ahead, see. So J.R.R. Tolkien. There we go. Submit, and there we go. New book added. So if we now try to load all books, exactly everything was added nicely. Okay, so and that's on forms, and the next thing in line is going to be middlewares. So we're going to jump right into middlewares. So middlewares are like the name sounds, middlewares. All right, they are sort of requests, or let me say handlers, that are in between handlers. Okay, so if you remember when I was talking about HTTP, we said that requests response, okay, cycle, and you know what happens? Client makes a request, server sends a response. All right, so when a request comes in to a server, it goes through processing. Okay, so we are already passing in a function that will process each request. Okay, so a middleware is like passing another processor in between the request response cycle. until the request gets sent back. So we can pass a lot of middleware. So this is not exactly how it's done in Go. I'll show you how it's done, but this is just to give you an idea. So the request comes in here. Go takes the request, passes it through this middleware. This middleware, when it's done, sends it to the next one. When this one is done, sends it to the last one, which then sends a response back to the user. Okay, though you do have to note that we can stop the request here if we find something wrong. So this is something that you can use to implement things like authentication. So if a request comes in, it passes through the first middleware, which checks if the user is authenticated. The user is not, it actually sends a response back without passing it to the next one. Okay, so basically we won't be doing anything as complex as that. We're just going to be implementing just one middleware, which is going to be a logger middleware or interface. All right, so let's do that. So to do that, we want to log our HTTP requests when any request comes to this guy to load books. So we're going to call this logger. Okay, and also here we're going to wrap this to call it logger, and here too the same thing, we're going to call this logger. All right, so we're going to go ahead up here and define that logger. And like you already know, our handle func expects our handler to return a handler function. All right, so if we go ahead and save this like this, and everything doesn't look good because our logger expects 2 parameters, right? But what we're actually passing is an instance of yes, so we're actually passing a function, not a function, I mean. So what we can do is to get rid of this and use the interface itself. So we can call this next, and next is http dot, we can call this handler func. Okay, so this is it, and if we save that, the error should go away. Yeah, so it's going to return func. Okay, and we'll pass this in, and then actually this is supposed to return something. It's going to be http dot handler func. Okay, so and then so what do we want to do? We want to log a request, so it's going to be print, okay, let's use print ln. I'm just going to go ahead and log, let's just print f requests received, I'm going to say %v /n. I'm going to say r.url, so just log the URL where the request was made from. So, and then after that we need to call next, which tells the middleware or the request to pass on to the next function handler. Okay, so to do that we're just going to say next self http, and okay, I could do this, or we could, since that this is already a function, can just directly pass our requests and our response. So this request here and this response here gets passed in here, so we're just calling next. All right, so yeah, basically the request comes in here, we pass it to this logger, the logger processes it, prints this, and calls next. So calling next now calls this particular function that was passed in here, and it also goes on to process the request as we want it to. So let's go ahead and test this. I'm going to go ahead and open this and try again. Localhost 8000 call books, and looks like, oh, we stopped the server, didn't start the server. So refresh again, and we get null because of course there is no book there. And as you can see, this was logged, requests received. Perfect, our logger is working, and so we can also go ahead and create a book. I'll call this what do we call this? Which book? The Hobbit. Something really fast. Lord of the Rings. And of course, JR token. Submit that, and as you can see, new book has been added. Go ahead and load books, and as you can see, all our requests are being logged nicely. Okay, so guys, that's that. Middlewares, and play around with this. Try adding authentication, and okay, actually we missed something. So this is where we could do many things, right? And if, let's say, something is not right, maybe we want to check that if we can do something like if URL oh, you know what, let's just leave this like this. Okay, so but the point I wanted to make is that you could do checks here, and if thing doesn't work, you can always send a request back to the user. Okay, so it actually can be done in here. So say if whatever happens, and then if it doesn't work, we'll just do our fmt dot write, send the user back, and return. All right, so that's something you can also try to do. And so that's that.